Hello, FewCandy here, and welcome back to another episode of Auridon. And I tell you what, it is a new dawn in Auridon. I have ditched a load of old mods and replaced them with new, fancy, updated ones, and Auridon's still working. It's still here. And in fact, actually, I'm making an absolute bucket load of money, so it's all looking good. And you can find my updated mod list in the description below, so go and check it out if you want to see what mods I am using now. But there's some great new ones out that are replacing multiple old ones, so actually my list is trimmed down pretty nicely. And last time out we built the power station over here, which is all kind of working quite nicely actually, powering Auridon up. A few different interesting assets, which I know some of you kind of disagreed with, but I like the overall look and how it's come about. And yeah, I am no nuclear scientist. I don't understand whether water's meant to be coming in or out of here. So this is just a version of a nuclear power plant that I thought looked kind of good for someone who doesn't know anything about it. But it works in the skyline of Auridon, so pleased with how that has come out. And we'll be giving this and the airport names later on in the episode, so stay tuned for that towards the end. But for today, we are going to be incorporating some of the new Plazas and Promenades DLC into Auridon. And this little waterfront down here by the canal front and by the waterfront right next to the downtown, I think is the perfect spot to start off with. So let's get cracking. Now, just before we begin, some of you may notice that the Auridon bank balance has jumped up quite substantially since when we were last playing. And that is because I've had to spend several hours in the city going around and replacing trees, which had all seemed to disappear with the mod updates. But that is all now fixed and Auridon should be back to normal, I think. There's probably some areas I've missed. And so that bank balance has just built up really nicely. But Auridon with the airport in seems to be prospering really well, and the farm is making an absolute ton of money. Okay, so the first thing I want to do today before we get in our pedestrian roads is actually just adjust this road slightly. And for this waterfront, because what the plan is we're going to have a pedestrian road running up alongside our main tram road and road for car access, etc. into the Fugleplex down here. And I want to tidy up this waterfront. So with that, I do want to add in some keys. So I'm actually just going to place a little section actually all the way along like this. And then what we're going to do is grab the nodes from the key. And we're literally just going to pull it up right up to the canal edge here. And I want it right up to the bridge. So it's sitting in nicely there. We'll just have it overlap in the canal edge. So it just gives us a much nicer edge to this canal than just having the basic canal wall. So I think that works quite nicely. And then let's grab this final node. And I've just realised I do not need these power lines anymore because I do now have the new 81 tiles mod, which comes with functionality to not need power lines, which is super, super useful. So we can get rid of that and power will still spread throughout the city without having to need them. That should mean I'd be able to grab this node a bit easier. Hold on, let's move it, and we're just going to drag it right up to the junction there. I'm not too worried about the curve in the canal. We could sort that out with a bit of the detail and time lapse later, but in general, that is absolutely fine. And then let's just adjust this road so it is right up next to that key edge. There we go, we've got a nice looking waterfront there. The one thing I do want to do is actually just change this road, and this is to another tram road, which I have got off the workshop. And it's one that actually comes with nice trees. We still have the bike lanes, but it also has little parking spaces on the side of the road. And because the traffic isn't super busy here, I think this will be absolutely fine. But I do want to allow for parking for the Sims within the residential area, so I think that this is quite important. Now, my one issue with this is we've got these lovely benches and planters. However, it's very, very heavily repeated. So I think what we will do is use a little bit of Bob. And let's just remove some of these benches. So I think what we will do is turn the probability down to 50%. But essentially we should get every other one. And then also with the flower pots, let's do the same here. So it will make a slightly more random pattern rather than being super, super repeated. But I think that's really what we want to do. And of course, don't forget to press the green button to make sure it actually confirms your changes. And in actual fact, looking at it now, I think what we will do is entirely remove the flower pots. I'm not loving how they look, so let's remove them altogether. And then we've just got the benches along, and it does look way too random, actually. We'll leave the benches, and we'll just get rid of the flower pots now that I've looked at that. I don't mind the heavily repeated bench pattern. I think that that is okay. And of course, these trees as well, let's also change those. So tree variant 3, I definitely don't want that. Thinking maybe a nice older would look suitable here. Yeah, there we go. That looks a little bit nicer, I think, and especially without the flower pots, which was making it just a little bit fussy for me. So now that we've got that in, let's go ahead and start laying out our pedestrian district. So to start off with, we obviously want to lay down the district area. So we are going to fill this entire section, this side of this collector road here. So just before we begin, I do actually want to give this district a name, and we are going to name this after one of my top tier Patreons. And so this is going to be called the Mitch Hudson District. Thank you so much for all of your support, Mitch. I really, really, really appreciate it. And to all of my Patreons as well. Thank you. Okay, so let's get in our pedestrian roads. Now, there are a few different options when you're putting them in. You have got the sandstone, you've got the bluestone, and you also have the cobblestone. Now, in terms of the Auridon vibe, I think the bluestone is the best fit for here. So this is what we are going to use. Now, what I would like to do is take a large pedestrian road, and we are going to run it, as mentioned, up alongside this road here. Now, I'm going to leave a very, very small gap for this, just like that, and we'll connect it into the main road here. So we get these lovely little bollards, and yeah, it all just looks absolutely super cute. I do just want to make sure that this is absolutely the same height as this road here. So let's grab all of these nodes and we will level them out to this road. And that has got rid of a little bit of that slope here. Now, this gap, I will come back to what we are going to do with that later on. But for now, we do also then want to add in some connecting roads onto this main highway here. So for this district, I'm going to be primarily filling it with the wall-to-wall residential assets. However, because they're residential, I feel like parking is still needed. And obviously we have now upgraded this road, so we've got parking there too. And we do have traffic manager and despawning off. So people can't just pocket their cars and they do need to park. And I feel like even a residential district that was on a pedestrian road, it would be realistic to offer them some parking facilities. So that is what we are going to do. So I'm just going to bring up this road like this. And what we are going to do is then create a little, very small parking area for them out the back here. I'm going to go into parking lot roads and we'll grab the parking lot asset here, and we're just going to drag out a small section like that, which can be a car park for our residents of this area. And then what I do want to do is also add in a couple of other connecting roads into here. So let's just go back and grab our suburban street, which I think is a nice entrance into here. I'm going to line it up with these canals because I feel like they are quite important viewpoints. Let's just bring that up to here. And of course, our pedestrian road is just going to cross that quite nicely with the little bollard effect as well, which is super cute to see. And then we're going to do exactly the same thing up here as well with this one. Now, here, my plan is to actually put in quite a substantial plaza area at the end of the residential district over here. So I'm actually going to revert back to using the pedestrian roads for this. And again, we're going to try and line it up right in the middle of this canal so that you get a really nice viewpoint down the canal and into that building there. Now, coming back to the car parks, we'll just do the same thing here. I'm just going to add in a really small section of parking either side like that, and we can definitely trim this one back in fact. And we will use the pedestrian roads just to connect this all up. What I'll go ahead and do now is just lay out some more of our residential roads so that we can create this district area, and then we can have a look at what assets we are going to be putting in here. So there we go. Now, one very important thing that we need to remember with pedestrian areas is to add our service buildings in. So there are two options for service buildings which deliver both cargo and garbage. You also then have a cargo service point and a separate garbage service point. So if you go for the separate ones, you will get more capacity than if you do this combined service point. That's something important to remember. However, because this area is going to be largely residential with a tiny bit of commercial and a tiny bit of office, I'm thinking that we can just make do with just one large service point. So that's what I'd like to add into the end over here. Now, the positioning of this I think is quite important because there's some really nice features to this asset, particularly this wall here. Absolutely love that. This one's very plain, but I think we can cover that up with another building in between the road side there. And for that, we can actually add in a small service point here as well. And that should just, give us extra coverage for that. Now, clearly there is quite a bit of detailing to do to tidy this up out the back here. We've got this fence stuck out here, which I, as you know, do not like to see just random fences sticking out with no purpose to the end of them. So we will be dealing with that in the detail and time lapse. And I'm actually just going to shift this over a little bit because I feel like it's very, very close to the road this side. So we'll just move these back ever so slightly, and they fit in so nicely together, the small and the large service points, that I think it's just an opportunity we can't say no to really there. And I'm going to, of course, just remember to remove the traffic lights from these ends. We don't need that for the pedestrian zone, so we'll get rid of those. And of course on this main road as well. So the intention is to build a really large plaza into this area here, but around here, as you can see, we've got a few different layers of height within our residential district. And now to tidy up these, I am, of course, as always in Auridon, going to use some keys for this. And I think what we will do is use the old ones with the stairs so that people can walk down in between them, because these just look super, super fantastic. And particularly next to a plaza, I think, as well. This works really nicely as a kind of centre focal point at the head of the plaza. Let's just grab those nodes and we'll move this right up to the edge. And of course, we need a bit of surface painter in here to tidy this all up and to help it blend in a little bit. But what that does give us is, this really nice centre point to our plaza. And I'm going to, of course, make sure that these stairs are in the middle of it so that it's super, super nice and well orientated for when we put in our plaza detailing. And then what we'll do around the edges is just join in some regular keys. And now here, of course, we brought the road down. So let's make sure that we'll have to adjust those nodes afterwards to bring the keys back into the centre. Let's just make sure that we're bringing this down so that it's nicely aligned to the edge of the pedestrian roads here. And then let's continue these keys on around this corner. So we'll snap into the road guidelines for this and we'll sort all the crazy heights out afterwards, of course. And we'll just bring it round like that, which looks absolutely bizarre right now. And then along the back here, what we will do is the same key with the stairs. Again, snapping it into our road guidelines so we get it in nicely. And then just using a little bit of move it to move it into place. So again, what we want is it up nice and close to the edge of this pedestrian road here. And we can use a bit of surface painter and a bit of detailing in the back of it to tidy it all up. Let's go ahead and connect those up now. And then we do just need to do a bit of height sorting and a little bit of putting the terrain back into the keys to sort out this front and make this a little bit nicer. And so there we go. Now that we've tidied that up, that's looking a lot nicer. We've got our stairs in the middle. We've got two little sets of stairs going down onto the pedestrian street over here. And again, lots of detailing and surface painter needed around this to help it. But I think that gives a really nice back to our plaza, and you can just imagine this once we get the buildings in, the layers of height that it's going to create around there. I think it's going to be super duper nice. Okay, so next thing I want to consider before we get our buildings in is public transport. So we have got trams that already run down this route here, and they circle around the Fugleplex and then go back into the main downtown tram hub over here. So we definitely want to add in a couple of stops for this. So let's just add one in here. And we'll do kind of one pretty much at each junction. We'll definitely do one in front of the plaza there. Perhaps two actually is enough. In fact, let's move this one to there. And then we can also have one in the middle here, I think, as well. So we've got 3 stops for them running up that way. And perhaps we could even do another one actually outside the main service point here too. Now, the other public transport, as you can see here, is we've got a metro line running through, and there are some super cute metro stations that come with the new Plazas and Promenades DLC. This raised one is absolutely gorgeous with the little station shops in as well, and it's super, super nicely detailed and goes really, really well with the wall-to-wall assets. And we also have this one, which offers us a double platform option as well, which is great. And then the tiny one, which again has 2 platforms and is super cute. But I think with this, because we are going to have wall-to-wall all around this district, we're going to use this one, which has a nice bit of height to it, and it's going to fit in really well with the buildings that we're putting around this plaza. So I think we will just have one stop right in the middle there. So then let's go in and change up our metro line. So we'll hit pause for a second so we don't completely interrupt the flow of the metro. And let's just delete out our line to there. Now it's coming into the station on this platform here, so we can connect it up to there. Let's just grab our metro lines. Let's obviously make sure we're not on forced to ground level and destroy all of our buildings in the process. And we'll connect it up to this line here. So let's just bring it out in a nice curve like this. And we'll connect it straight up into this station there. I'll sort that out with a bit of move it in a second. And yeah, we will connect it up into this metro line coming in here. So just like that. And if we have a little look at our routes, we want to add in a stop to this station. So let's add in a stop for that side. And then let's also add in a stop for the other direction here too. Just like that. So that should all be connected nicely into there. And then it does actually continue on down to the Okie Dokie Loki Wildlife Park, that particular line. But of course, they've got the major metro hub in the centre of Auridon, which I have to say is insanely busy. We can press play now, and it's just a constant flow of people around this central station, going into the monorail over here, crossing over to the tram hub and crossing down to the metro from the train station. It's just, yeah, it's madness, this little hub. It's really cool to watch and sit and enjoy the Sims walking around. But that's not what we are here for today. Okay, so now we've got our public transport hooked in. I think the next thing we will do is start to get in our buildings. So as mentioned, we are going to be using the wall-to-wall specialisation. So of course I plop all of my buildings, but if you don't, you do need to remember to go into the district specialisations here to residential and choose that if you wanted, of course, office. And also commercial, there are the wall-to-wall specialisations for each of those that you would need to apply to your district. But I'm plopping using Rico, so I don't need to do that. Now what we really want to see here is some of these nice condos, and we're going to arrange them into some pretty cool patterns, I think. So these are awesome, awesome assets, I have to say. And all of the wall-to-wall I would add kind of come in sets of themes. So you've got these ones that are like little condo complexes. You've also got these, which are a bit more blocky and will go together really nicely. You then also have these style of ones as well, which go in pretty well, especially if you've got some narrower gaps and some smaller spaces. They look super cute there. And then you also have this style, which go together again really nicely. So I'd recommend, if you are plopping your buildings in, to kind of stick to the different themes and try and use them as much as possible in little groups so that it looks a little bit more cohesive than just when you mass zone in and you get random things all over the place. But these assets really are absolutely top drawer. I literally love them. Can't get enough. Absolutely loving the wall-to-wall, and they bring such a nice pop of colour as well, which goes so well in Auridon. So yeah, what we'll be doing is using these condo assets and trying to combine them into some interesting shapes. So of course we have Move It, so we can align things nicely. So we can do things like just using them into the back of the different buildings here. Of course, being conscious of the fact we've got some balconies that side, so perhaps we don't want to do that. Maybe that isn't the right configuration. But that is the type of thing that we do want to do here. Is merge them all up and make them look like one big cohesive unit all together. And then of course down the back on the parking we can do lots of nice detailing there, and these assets have already come pretty well detailed. Little benches, these shelters, they really are super cute. I cannot get enough of them. And sometimes as well you can see people sitting on the balconies where there's like a bench. People will actually go and sit and use them, which is so nice to see. So let's go ahead and place in all of our wall-to-wall residential. There we go. So we have just tried to be really careful with our designs, like aligning things so that the walls all match up and so that our pathways through the buildings, things are not interrupted. So like this condo complex goes really well next to this one here. Obviously gaps in there for the windows. We've got nice little walkthroughs at various different points as well. So like here, we'll do a bit of detailing to make that all nice. We could even add an extra pedestrian road in there connecting up to this side. Then of course there's a lot of detailing to do in the middle of these condos here, putting in some extra little props and some little garden areas, finishing off some of these hedged areas, lots of surface painter and the such like in here. And then I did do this bit of residential going up the curved bank here, and we're going to create a really nice park area out of this. I've just levelled the ground off here so we can add some decals, some little extra prop detailing in there using some of the new props that we've got with the Plazas and Promenades DLC. All in all, I think it's come together quite nicely as these sort of varied condo complexes, and these assets just look so good. This adds a whole new dimension to the game, this real feeling of kind of community environment in the middle here when you line up all of those fences, and yeah, like I said, all of the walkways flow through all of the buildings super nicely and out onto the streets. It's just, yeah, it's so nice, so great to see. And we have added in a load of offices and a couple of commercials, I think, down here, although mainly offices, I think. But again, these assets are really nice to align up, so you get these nice different shapes to them. The office assets in particular are absolutely gorgeous, I think. Then we did have to do a little bit of kind of adjusted out here to get this layer and height between these two levels here. So we've got these up on the street this side and these offices down here below. But it all works together really nicely with just a tiny bit of key in there to mark the boundary and using a little bit of path to make sure that the landscape and the terrain is pushed down to the height of these offices here. Goodness, look at these colours as well. May not be to everyone's taste, but I think for Auridon it really just adds such a nice pop of colour and complements the Rainbow Heights district, particularly on the other side. And if we go to nighttime view as well, of course, Auridon has got all of the bright lights as well, which suit this really nicely. And then just one final thing is I did add in a little plaza at the end here, creating a little nice viewing platform with one of the residential roads looking out onto the ships coming through round to the harbour there, little lighthouse on the end. And we will be coming in a stream and finishing off this island and the waterfront round this side, so watch out for that pretty soon. But yeah, I think that's generally this district done, just a lot of detailing to be done, particularly in this grass space here and around these plazas and around all of the condos. There's a couple of other things I want to do before we get onto that. Now, when I was looking at it, I was noticing these benches, like being on this side of the road. I like the fact that they're looking out onto the canal over the Fugalplex over here. But I'm not so keen on them sort of looking into this grassy space, particularly as we're going to be doing some detailing in there. So what we can do actually with Bob, if we go to all of the individual items here, you will have noticed there is two sets of benches and they are one on either side of the road. So I'm actually going to bob off the benches on that side of the road. And it's okay because this is the only place that we're going to be using this road, just for this particular avenue area here. So that works absolutely fine. And it means we now don't have those benches there and we've just got them sitting on this side overlooking the canal. So happy with that and the effect that that gives. Okay, so coming on to the main plaza area. So what I would like to do for this is obviously have a bit of a centerpiece in the middle here. So we're going to do that by drawing out a 8x8 box here. And that has not worked out correctly. Let's see if we can align that up using a bit of anarchy, just like that. So we can then use one of this plazas, and the one that I want to use is this large fountain plaza. It really is a centre focal piece here. And you'll notice as well that the decals on it have gone to the cobblestone. If we use Move It, we can reset that, yeah, so it matches our nice blue stone there and all flows together really well with the theme of our area. So you can do that on most of the plazas that come with it. A good little trick. Obviously, if you don't have Move It, you don't have mods or you're on console, you'll just need to place it a few times to get the one that you want. Now, in terms of around this, what I would like to do is actually a water feature. So I'm going to go to raised roads and we're going to create segments that come in from either side. So it's super nice and uniform and aligned like that. And then we're going to get our terraforming tools and we are going to dig a little hole. So let's obviously remember to turn our brush strength down here. And we don't want it to be that deep. So we'll grab that kind of height like that. And let's create a pit all around this entire area. And we're going to push it up as close as we can to the edges of the keys here. And there are some areas that are insanely deep in that. We can sort that out with a little bit of detailing afterwards. But we just want to make sure that the water can flow all the way around and it's pushed down as far as it can. We've obviously got the metro coming through here as well, which makes for quite an interesting little feature underneath the ground there, but we should be able to cover that up with our water. So let's grab the water spawn point, and of course let's turn the capacity right down. I'm not keen on flooded Auridon right now. We'll hit pause as soon as we put it in, and then we'll just use the left mouse button to drag this down to the level that we want. And I want it quite high up to the surface, pretty much as high as we can get it without flooding. So we're just looking at that water level, and like that looks good to me. So let's press play and let's see where we get to. We're probably going to have a little bit of flooding as it all goes in, yes, but it shouldn't be too bad. So there we go. So that has gone in without too many problems. There's a couple of little floods, but it looks pretty good, I think. Now, obviously the edges, we are going to tidy that up with a lot of rock detailing. We'll probably put some nice after dark lights in here just to jazz it all up as well and make it look super, super cute. But I think overall, that's a nice kind of centre point for this residential pedestrian district. And the other thing as well is obviously water also increases land value. So if I just go to our land value menu, this bit is like a luminous, literally, I think some of the highest value land. In fact, Auridon in general is actually pretty high land value. If we just have a look around, I realise I've not shown you this. Even Auridon, it's actually quite high value there. But yeah, we have some nice land values going on. And in fact, actually the rich district actually isn't as high value as some of the other areas, though it is pretty green all around. But yeah, this pedestrian district certainly adds to the land value, but also having that water feature in there is going to boost it even more. So we should be getting some nice tax income from all of this. And I'm just noticing what is going on here. Thinking of a good parking spot. Let's get rid of you. We'll keep that traffic going. Okay, so the final little thing I want to do before we get on to some detailing is actually add a unique building. Now, with the Parks and Plazas DLC, there are several of these. So this one is super cute. The Pedestrian Market Hall, absolutely love that. We've also got the Museum of Postmodern Art, is a really bright, nice, colourful building. And the Sunken Plaza shopping mall is amazing. Absolutely love that. And then we also have the zoned landmarks. We've got commercial, we've got residential, and we've got office zone. And these are all really cute buildings. But because this is majoritatively residential buildings, I think what we want to do is add the residential landmark right up on this hill here. So let's just use move it just to spin this around a little bit. And what I would like is it really facing down this main road here. So we'll need to do a bit of terraforming around it to sharpen that up. But what we want is the building looking out over that bridge and onto the port down below. So yeah, what we have is this nice landmark up on the hill, looking down through that canal, looking over the rest of the residential district. So I think it adds another nice layer of height up onto that hillside there. So that is really all of the main features put into our district. So it's just now about a lot of detailing, tidying up these green spaces, tidying up all around the condos with surface painter, extra prop detailing, little communal areas and the such like. And then of course tidying up around our water feature in the middle there and around our service buildings as well this side. So we'll jump into a time lapse and I will be right back. So there we go, and I think we're back to doing quite a bit of detailing actually. So we'll start off down this end. We have just obviously tidied up all of the waterfront along here. I've left this bit because we will come onto that when we fill out this waterfront area here on a stream coming sometime soon. But for this bit, yeah, tidied it up with rocks, a couple of trees along here, and just added in these little eating areas using some of the props that have come with the new DLC, which I think fits in quite nicely. I'm so happy we've got more food trucks as well because they are super cute little assets. But I'm liking the way this is sitting at the head of this really long pedestrian road here with the kind of nice trees lining it as well. Then we've just done a few little basic park patterns out the front here. A couple of benches with the light, little bush patterns. Coming down onto some more water feature here, again bringing in that watery Auridon vibe into the plaza area. Then of course the main plaza here, which is the main feature. I have added in little fountains as well, just to give it a little bit more pop, I think, which I like how that works now. And then just a few more green spaces along the front over here. Heading back to the residential areas, we have just tidied it up with a bit of surface painter, added in a few little extra props here and there. Again, just these nice little kind of pagoda things. Added a little tree into the middle of it and a few benches around. Just, yeah, some more kind of detailing along here. Not too much because there's a lot of props that already come with the buildings. Added in a few planters at the bottom of some of these really plain walls as well, which I think just helped to liven it up a little bit. And these little walkways that you can see through some of the buildings as well as you go down. Again, more of the same prop detail in there. Added in a couple of little walkways through here, so there are paths through this so residents can walk through if they so wish. A couple of lights there, and just some of our old Auridon benching pattern from the downtown that we have used here. Nice little hedge pattern with the benches either side. A couple of little sitting sims to bring it to actual life. Some little green spaces as well intermingled in there. Added a little playground into the middle here as well. Very much more of the same. Another little seating area here around the metro station. Nice little green bit with a few benches around there too. And coming up to the top, we have tree lined it along these houses. And here we have added in a fence along the back border here. It's a little bit wonky actually. You need to go and adjust some of the heights. And then a load more prop detailing. Added in some of these semicircle planters as well along the edge. Another little playground added in here. And again, just more of the same, using the props from the new DLC, trying to make the most of them as they go so nicely with these buildings. And they're already on a lot of the assets already, so it just helps to create consistency like that. And a little bit of natural detailing up here towards the park area, bit of fencing. And I added in this plaza, which I thought was quite a nice position for this, overlooking the main plaza down there. I like how that one turned out. And this, as mentioned, will be a bit of a park area up here at the top, and then we'll have some more walkable, residential, commercial, something along those lines, districts along the waterfront here. Probably a bit of entertainment, I think, in there. Make it a nice kind of almost beachy entertainment waterfront. There's the pier over there, birds down. Nice. And then for our residential unique, again, you know, just keeping that viewpoint nice and clear. We've added in fences down here, a little pathway down this side onto a makeshift prop plaza here. So again, just using some of the new props that we've got from the DLC, and I'm absolutely loving this glass fencing I would add. It's, yeah, super, a really, really nice addition to the game. And we've just jazzed up those fountains with a couple of little actual fountain spurts in them. And then, yeah, just a little bit of fence along here, nothing too much to decorate up these curved row of houses up the hillside here, which I think have gone in pretty nicely. Then we have just sorted out the backs of these residences as well. I've extended some of the decals and the planter actions that already come with the assets and some more of the benches there. Made the pool area a little bit more private because I thought that was quite appropriate there. And a couple of trees with planters, nothing too complicated. And this has all worked out pretty nicely over here. Again, we saw we added in the key beforehand, just some more planters, and then finished off around the service areas, adding in fencing all the way around. So that's nicely contained now and makes a little bit more sense there, I think. But that really was it. So yeah, I think it's coming together as quite a nice foreground to our downtown here. And obviously we've got more space to fill out, so we will have some more walkable districts, certainly extending this road out into an area here. Probably more walkable districts out this side as well. So this will be quite a walkable area, pedestrianised area of the downtown. So just before we go today, I do want to head over to the airport to give it a name. So as voted on the community tab on my channel, This is, of course, going to be called FewCastle Airport. So that was thanks to Dave Ullman for that suggestion. What an absolutely fantastic suggestion, considering I took Newcastle Airport as the inspiration for this one. Absolutely love it, and it was by far the favourite on the vote, and certainly in the live chat for the premiere from the airport as well. So again, thank you for your suggestion there. And keep the suggestions coming in for what else you want to see in Auridon. We've still got an awful lot of space to fill. I mean, when you look at the map, Auridon actually looks tiny, even though I feel like it's getting quite big now. There's an awful lot more builds to do, particularly in and around the downtown here as well. So if you've got ideas for what else you would like to see, please do drop them in the comments. But for today, that is going to be it. And I thought we could just enjoy a little nighttime view before we go. And again, enjoy the little after dark lights that we've added in around here. Bit of turquoise, of course pink on the residential, and blue around the plaza here, which I absolutely love. So if you have enjoyed this video, likes, shares and comments are really, really super appreciated below. I'm having so much fun with this Plazas and Promenades DLC. You can also use my affiliate link for Instant Gaming to get the DLC nice and cheap from them, as well as any other Cities Skylines DLCs and a vast array of games as well. So do go and check that out, and it also helps to support the channel. So one final big shout out to Mitch Hudson as well. I hope you enjoy your pedestrian district here, and thank you so much for all of your support. But for today, that is going to be it. So stay tuned for the cinematics, and I will catch you again next time. Bye bye.